Is it
A lot of landscaping stuff, old business delegates.
for the new stuff?
So we do tonight, delegate things, HOA property tax update, okay, and then we have good news on that. And next meeting is very soon. Okay, should be easy now.
I was just trying to, I was like. That's studying out.
Why, Mark?
Are we ready to begin? Is Zoom up and running? Okay, great. What board members are online?
April.
Is it just April? Is that all we're missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Matt, next one. April, can you hear?
Sorry, that joke's old by now.
All right, the time is 6:03 p.m. on Thursday, January 25th. We are going to go ahead and get started. President is myself. Vice President April is on Zoom. In the room, we have John Good, we have Rebecca, our treasurer, and then we have Jason and Kevin. Mac is on a cruise. I wish him well. Let's see. Next up, so
Lucky guy.
we have a quorum. Let's see, the minutes from December 28th. Did everyone have a chance to review those?
Yes.
It's somebody that April and she
Okay.
just said she's trying to get into the Zoom. No, we-
I can see her.
It finally started for me. I was in a little early. Thanks, guys.
All right, so does anybody have any corrections to the minutes?
No.
All right, a motion to approve the minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
And
Any opposed?
John, you'll bring the other meeting minutes? Sorry. You'll bring the other meeting minutes? that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
kind of-
yeah. I'll grab all that.
All right, some 28 minutes are good. President's report, I have nothing to report right now. Actually, I do. Let's talk about the pool for a second, just to update everybody a little bit about what happened. And Patty, that's for the folks. Yeah, sure thing. Let's see, so the county hired some new inspectors. They came out and on Tuesday, so our pool company cleans and inspects the pool and checks the chemical levels on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The pool was within specs on Monday when they came out, and it was within specs on Wednesday when they came out. On Tuesday, when the inspector came, for some reason, it was not. So we closed the pool without telling the board or Patty or Jennifer. The only reason we knew was the community members posted on Facebook, thanks to the community members who did so. We've since immediately upon notification, we had the pool company come out, check the levels, corrected everything else that needed to be corrected. Patty and Jennifer went to the store to buy a plastic cap we were missing on the hose, right?
On the
Thank you
back.
very much for doing that. And we got it back up and running. We met all of the criteria. At this point, the only thing we were waiting on was the county to get back to us and say you can reopen the pool.
Right, and I
Which-
did the chemical levels this afternoon and
Yeah.
I sent in that form. Did I have you on that? form?
Yes. So you've been bugging them all day and we haven't heard back from them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So working on it. We can't officially say the pool is open until the county says the pool is open.
And I can't say that people were swimming in the pool today because I don't know anything about it.
Did I miss any details?
Okay.
With the new ops from them, is there a way for them to notify us prior to that? I mean, I don't know if that's
They
been
have
looked
always
at.
done that before. They even have a key fob. It's
Right.
just the new inspector decided he was just gonna.
They're a little
overzealous.
Yes, if you got on the job,
Yeah,
learning curve.
This is something that, I mean, I get it from a resident perspective, like, we're not notified, it's not our fault. There's a gap in the process.
Yeah,
So I think that needs to be addressed from the county, and I don't know if that's, I know people go there avidly every morning and do the swim laps.
yeah. Patty's on top of it. She's got contacts. The guy that used to be our pool guy from the county that came out and inspected actually got promoted. So Patty still knows him and is talking with him. So this won't be an issue. I think that's all I had from the last president's report.
The air conditioning.
Do you wanna talk about that now or
Well, it's not, because it just came in, so.
it
that's
just
not-
came in?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do that under community manager's report. Treasurer's report?
This month, we were able to do an amended tax filing for 2022, which resulted in a $2,680 or $2,683 refund. Because there were some items that were originally included as taxable when they really shouldn't have been, so the corrected or the amended tax return was produced this month. We also had a kickoff with Balanced Asset Solutions for the new bookkeeping company that we're transitioning to. We have been working with them to get up to speed so that they can take over, all of the day-to-day accounting activities. And in addition to that, we've been working with the bank to get the check scanner. We met with them earlier this week to get all the accounts, set up. And now we just have to go through with the purchase, and it takes about 10 days from the time that we get the purchase done. In addition to that, the 1099s for vendors will be issued next week. And outside of that, we've closed the books for 2023, and I'm very happy to say that.
Thank you. Well done.
April's going like this.
Yeah,
Anything else?
that's it for me.
Right, thank you.
Mhm.
Treasurer's report, any officer reports, vice president or secretary?
Nothing from me.
Okay.
I mean, I've got neighbors within our vicinity of different, questions and, like suggestions for the neighborhood, but I don't know if it's worth right now. So I don't know if that's something to bring up immediately,
Not,
small things. So,
not on their secretary report, but if
Yeah.
you want to get it on the agenda, we could do that.
yeah,
If it's time pressing, we can cover it tonight.
that's fine.
If it's not, we can kind of package it up if there's similar issues.
Package it up for next
Yeah.
month's meeting.
We might
There's
have just
just
before then.
things that are taken into consideration, but we can address that next month. It's not urgent.
All right. And anything from the VP?
Just the update on, from the county extension office on the possible fungus and grass, addressing the sod laydown. Still waiting on Michael Mancini to give me the information for Gainesville if we need to get the soil tested. I was gonna see if we had any other pictures, either from Patty or any of the other residents that could help him kind of narrow down what it might be. We only really have one picture to look at, and that's it doesn't help him narrow down what possibilities there are. So if there's any other pictures from residents who are dealing with some of the sod issues of what that fungus looked like or how the grass was dying off, and when those pictures were taken, that could be really useful. But I pinged him again today with not a response yet, so I don't know if he's waiting on Gainesville as far as timeline and cost.
All right. Thank you very much. Next issue is the community manager's report.
Yes, and you guys didn't get one in your packet. I apologize for that. I was trying to add more stuff to it, but I had more fun just fixing everything. So, we're going to pass it down, I guess.
Oh, this is not.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mark?
It's a short one. I'll go ahead and read out loud for you, Patty. All right, let me shut my ringer after real quick, just in case. All right. Let's see, management has been in touch with the county appraiser's office. The reimbursement for the 2023 property tax is being considered by the revenue department. So this is different from the one Rebecca briefed, the
That's federal.
federal income taxes, which we're getting $2,900 back. Is that correct?
2683.
2,600 back. This particular issue is for the 2023 property taxes, which we were falsely assessed. So it's being considered by the revenue department upon more discussion with the HSPA office. They're reviewing the request for the additional monies that were paid by the association. The reimbursement should have been requested with additional DR 42, should have been sent from the county to submit for the revenue for reimbursement. I'm waiting for the call to discuss this with the supervisor of the appraiser's office, up to 5 business days before the return call. Yeah, it's always easy to pay bills, right? And then when you try to get it back, it's a.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's when it's a process.
Right. So where we stand right now is you're in touch with them. From what I understood, you told us that they're going to give back last year's monies. Is that
Yes,
correct?
last year's money has already been approved, it's the rest of it.
Okay.
That's
That's fantastic. So last year's what, like $16,000 we're getting back?
Yeah, 15,900.
Fantastic.
Great job.
All right, Westlake, the trimming of Westlake trees has been completed. Holly Mattis from Progressive Tree completed this with a savings of $1,000 to the association. So,
So when they approved versus. what you charged us.
Yeah, and that bill has been paid.
all right, no update from Sandpiper, no update from Sagewood. Pear Villas, installation of irrigation timers is almost complete. I think we're up to 81, is that correct?
Mhm.
Pool maintenance, the pool plantings have been ordered and should be in and ready for the pool season. This is the landscaping we approved late last year,
Gotcha,
correct?
exactly.
Okay. Dog park proposal should be available for review. I met with him on Thursday. Who's him?
From canine grasses.
Okay,
The proposal did come in, it was a lot higher than I thought it would be, so I'm getting 2 more proposals before.
are they putting in artificial turf in the
artificial-
dog park?
It's actual canine grass,
Canine grass,
Mhm.
okay.
and actually one of the homeowners, Michelle. Found it for me,
Yeah, great,
so.
very cool, very cool.
Yes.
All right, if the board is interested in seeing additional information, samples, all right, do we have samples?
I have them in my, I'll grab them.
Okay, I will have the sales team attend the February board. meeting. Okay, so we're not buying this tonight, we're gonna look at it, get a couple more quotes.
Yes.
Sounds great.
It's a lot higher than I thought, it's $40,000.
What was the issue? Usually just maintaining that area or what?
Around the, Michelle, you want to speak to it, because you know better than I do? You know, the pavilion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I was here last time, I had been in the dog park for quite some time. And I was concerned with maybe up along the pavilion area. I had since been back. And it's deteriorating quickly. It's all along the sidewalk. It's sand pit.
It's,
And if you have a dog that has long hair like I do, like I can't use the dog park anymore because I can't take him home and wash him and blow dry him and all that stuff every single time I'm at the dog park. So I mean, there's no irrigation there, there's no, so it's either constantly replacing grass or try to find a different solution.
Wonderful. Yep, Patty's on it.
I want it. So the bottom one, the larger one,
Mhm,
that's the canine grass, so that's literally for dogs,
I see,
so it drains.
Oh, yeah, it
on the
drains, you
side,
can
it's
see the
got
holes that
microbiome,
pass through.
exactly.
all right,
So, but I'll have him come, I'll have at least one person come. and-
sounds good.
Whole process.
All right, let's press. Community manager report, that completes the community manager's report. Is there an attorney report to read?
You don't have to read it, that's just for the board.
Okay,
to be
gotcha.
here. I'll go through it.
Committee reports?
Wait, let's do the, AC.
You want to talk about AC?
Yeah.
Let's talk about AC.
So the compressor went bad in the fitness room. So it actually threw the breaker and everything.
Cool.
So we actually need a whole new unit. He didn't send me the price for that, but it's for a train, it's gonna be $10,000 to $12,000.
That's just for the outside unit, not the inside, not for the air handler, just the compressor and the condenser.
Exactly. So just to replace the compressor is 3,400.
Yeah, roughly.
Last year we put 1,600 into it for the,
You said 25,000 to replace the
it should be about $10,000.
$10,000 to replace the entire AC unit with a new, with a train?
With the train, yeah.
Train.
And what's in there now, carrier?
No, the train's in there.
Oh,
Mhm. And it's
Train's
not
good
just
stuff.
ours,
should be. They're all made in China.
Carry is
but it
good
runs
too.
24/7.
24/7
Right.
for the last 10 years.
Okay, so we're just waiting for that quote to come in.
Yeah, well, what does the board want to do? Replace the whole thing?
Well, is this a reserve item?
It should be.
Okay, we'll have to check the reserve report.
Has there been any other quotes?
We had a company last year, other than Marlin James has the maintenance contract
Mhm.
with it. And this one, they told us was gonna have to replace. The other company that came and said this doesn't need to replace, it just needs to be serviced more.
Yeah, I'm just
So-
questioning for other, whether it be the company itself or the manufacturer or whatever, you know,
Right.
that's, I'm just.
It would be,
So
And-
typically a quote involves a couple, right, and we know this, but. I'm
You
just
got a
asking if that's-
10-year-old A coil, you got a 10-year-old blower motor,
Mhm.
10-year-old guts inside, I mean,
Right,
and it runs 24/7 to your point.
Yeah.
So anywhere else in the, you know, if you lived up north, that 10 years of life is probably 30 years of life.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a matter of.
Because the next thing you're gonna get a bearing in the blower motor, you're gonna have an A coil. A coils, I had to have one replaced, was $3,000.
Right, and that,
So-
and last year we put what, $1,600 into the calibrate?
So let's do this.
up
Let's
to-
get a few quotes.
Mhm.
I like the train. Let's see if we can get Carrier too. That's a good brand.
Okay.
And then. If you can get them this week, we can call a special board meeting just for this item. We'll be in and out in 15 minutes and then we can get it. That way, we don't get stuck in the bureaucracy. We gotta wait till February, then approve
Exactly,
it.
and
It
it's
takes
not fair.
another month, right? Let's just get it going. So.
Is the air conditioner working?
No.
At all?
It's blowing air, that's it. So we have the.
Yeah,
fans on.
It's sweating the junk.
Yeah, the-
Actually, it's kind of cool right now, but this is gonna be an issue in
Exactly.
March.
So-
We can just tell everybody it's an infrared sonic gym.
Yeah, sure. All right. As soon as you get those quotes, Patty, let us know and we'll call a meeting to approve it.
We just put a unit in a rental house if you want another place to come for a quote, they were pretty good.
Okay,
Oh, Clark Ayers.
do you wanna send it to them?
Yeah. I'll send it to you.
Wow, anything else for community managers board?
No, not this time.
What's that?
Not at this time.
No, not at this time? Okay.
I just like spending money. Jim, right? Those in the-
Excuse me. All right, committees. Let's see, subcommittee. President Finance Committee, it's just Rebecca, I think.
Yeah, are we gonna select committee?
So we're going to what, appoint liaisons this evening, is that
Yes.
correct?
I think that's what I-
And then eventually, in the next month, we'll form up some committees.
Yeah, and do the charters and stuff. Do we want to do the presentation? From Planet Earth,
Let me see. From Planet Earth, yeah, sure,
okay?
that's next on there, let's do that.
So, True Green has not been, I have not been happy with True Green.
No?
No.
Okay,
So I spoke to our landscaper and worst case scenario, they can step back in and take over the spraying of of everything, if need be. So that's gonna be a board decision later on also, but then I also found Planet Earth, Charles. That way. Going up,
all right.
you guys can do your thing.
So my name is Charles. I'm the sales manager for the Plant City branch of Planted Earth. This is Brandon, one of my senior technicians. We were asked by Patty to come out, let you know about our servicing, and answer any kind of questions. I will start this off. I did send over email estimates earlier this week. There is some typos on it. We were trying some new technology. Some of the numbers got messed up, and it was showing per square foot instead of per thousand. Do have the updated pricing. We'll go over that at the end. Yeah, so our technicians, they do come out, it's once a month for the space that we're looking at. They will be out for, say, about 5 to 7 business days throughout the month. We'll take care of all your fertilization needs, to make sure that turf stays nice, healthy, and green. We'll take care of all your insecticidal needs, to make sure no bugs can damage your turf during bug season. We'll take care of all your fungicide needs throughout the year. Of course, weed control, whether that's pre-emergent or post-emergent. Then unlike other companies, we do take care of all of the landscape trees and shrubs in these areas. That's all of your fertilization, insecticides, and fungicides as needed for those. We do offer free service calls in case anything shows up out of line in between services. So we do have about a 3 to 5 business day response rate. We'll be able to handle those for you.
Would this be beneficial for the current issue that we're already investigating?
See that one more time for me, I'm sorry.
I was asking, sorry,
No.
so we can turn off the AC.
Before we start, so this estimate,
Yeah, those numbers are skewed. So normally our pricing is per 1,000 square foot.
okay,
We are using a new technology for a computer system. It looks like it got put in wrong. It got put in per square foot. And so it is a little skewed, but I do have the pricings per property, as well as some quotes for home pest control for all of the homes in these areas.
This is shared dwellings.
I see.
Yeah.
This
but
is
it's not-
Sagewood, so you gotta look at the subject, and you have different quotes for different areas.
Right.
Yeah, which for that, it's mainly just gonna be a basic breakdown of servicing, just going a little bit more in detail than what I wrote in that little presentation.
Right, so for 3.6 acres, I'm seeing $15 million. This is not correct.
That is not correct.
What's
So that is per square foot.
So is this gonna be 15,000?
So.
If we do the math, you said it's per 1,000 square foot, not square foot.
Yeah, so it's per 1,000. We had a little mix up with our computer system and I didn't catch it before sending these out.
So we just chop 3 zeros off the end?
So it is a little bit different than that number. It didn't translate just right.
Okay,
I do have these new numbers. I'll go ahead and read them out.
yeah,
per area.
please.
Yeah, so starting with Sandpiper, we're looking at it's 21,000 per year to get that taken care
Okay, okay,
of. For the HOA property, so that's the front of the lake house, the around the pool, including the shrubbery, as well as the dog park. But if you are swapping out the grassing, the grasses,
It's
we
on.
can always relook at that. Yeah, which that is gonna be at 23K for that whole space.
Mhm.
For Sagewood, that's the whole community and the common areas for 45K per year. And then for Westlake, it is right at about a little under 1 acre size, and that is just the common areas at just 17K per year. if I may, your fungus questions. So most of them driven right now in Florida to be prone always between the months of October and mid-March. You're always gonna be running into this issue because of the colder weather, and depending if you have a proper irrigation system, you are gonna have less prone areas versus more prone areas. You guys have a lot of oak trees around here, that's more shade, that's more moisture that ends up driving in those areas. You have pH level changes that happen in between the year depending on our levels of heat and our levels of rain. Compaction starts to set in, fungus is going to be prone in those areas, also weed controls. Fungus you may be running into right now are a lot can be treatable. More or less just hold off water. That's the best thing to tell any of your clients, just hold off, turn off. That's going to be 80% of the struggle. We are going to be putting down systemic type insecticides as well as contact lens. Both of those are going to be able to place down, and when they take about, I would say 14 days, actually start to seize up the actual wetness that's in the lawn. And this is going to only be on St. Augustine grasses. You're not going to catch fungus in Bahia, Bermuda. A lot of those are just going to be drought-resistant weeds. Typically in Florida, this isn't a golf course, I don't believe. So you don't have to worry about too much of the dreaded Bermuda focusing in. But if you do have interruptions in your broadcast or irrigation, you might start to see those type of weeds. We can take care of those. As far as your dog park situations going forward, I don't know if that was in your plans, but be careful with the astroturfs or the grasses like that. A lot of them start to hold smells. I don't know if you've been to Weston Chapel or other areas where they have dog little compounds inside those residential areas because of the hotels. A lot of them start to bind the smells, and you may have to have, I don't know if they're clinically treated to hold off those smells that do come. We necessarily don't have, like a smell like a breeze to go over them. But a lot of times you're gonna have ants and other type of insects bordering all of that astroturf. You're not gonna have insects necessarily in there, but you may want to look at flea and tick preventions, because that is going to make its way through all this type of shrubbery that you have out here. This is again another season in which they're going to be harboring in those areas, and then they're going to want to get on the dogs and bring them back to your houses. We do treat for fleas and ticks as well. We offer many different packages that go through. That's for your individual, but as far as the community, I don't know if you set up the packs like that. But mostly, yeah, fungus are going to happen on your St. Augustine, not your other type of grasses. The most common prevalent issue as far as pests, I don't really see too much of grubs here. It's probably going to be sod webworm. Those are those moths. Those moths that are in your oak trees, and then also ants. Chinch bug activity, as long as you're on top of your watering, you're not going to have to worry about those. All pests in Florida are easily treatable, and definitely they can be prevented just between the homeowner and whoever is adding applicants to the yard. All of our applications, we put a sign down. We're letting you know that we put down applications. We like for you to hold in your dogs for a period of time, or make sure you put your irrigation on for about 20 minutes. Let those applications go into the lawn so they're properly conditioning, and then you're okay to bring the dogs back out. Yeah, and we treat all weeds, crab grasses. We're going to be working with some newer applications to get rid of those. I know those are very prevalent in Florida. But yeah, most of the cases we're going to be able to take care of insect issues, fungus issues, pest issues abroad. So anything that really is messing up your yard.
Do you have any alternatives to weed control other than Roundup and other?
So we use select herbicides.
Okay.
All are going to be different. We do not use Roundup. Roundup is no good. If we do have dog consciousness, a lot of pet consciousness going on, I do advise in select areas, if you can, this is not in the middle of your yards, but vinegar and baking soda is a quick trick to help those ward off different weeds coming through. Again, not in your lawn per se, but your flower beds, not on the actual shrubbery, right? Or your rock beds or any of the areas where you may have a pathway. We're going to be treating it in process with that, but that's always a safe application. And that's baking soda, soap, and vinegar. Baking soda helps dry it out. Vinegar is going to work with the sun to help it necessarily burn at the foliage level. Soap's going to hold on as a bonder. So it actually acts as a UV protectant, so you're not having that sear necessarily on your foliage.
Thank you.
Which included with the servicing to the carpet grass point, we did recently switch over to a pre-emergent solution. So instead of outright just taking out any of your crabgrass, carpet grasses, such, the pre-emergent solution, it's going to stop any further growth of those weeds. So it's gonna stop any seeds from sprouting. And from there, you're seeing Augustine with our treatment's gonna be able to have boosted growth, taking over that carpet grass and crabgrass. And that'll become net zero over time, as long as Mother Nature permits. Now, there was one section of the neighborhood. It was sandpiper, that is mixed grasses, bahia. Now, for that, there isn't any weed control for bahia, or at least mixed areas, it's gonna be less effective.
And the
Just-
swales in Westlake.
Yes, and the swells in Westlake.
Keep in mind, bahia grass is native to Florida, so this is a grass that you're fighting year round if it isn't been placed with a sodded, a sodded grass, such as St. Augustine.
Yeah, so there will be less weed control in those areas, but we will be able to take care of the fertilizers to keep that nice and green. And then we'll be able to keep any fungus or insects from damaging that throughout the year.
Patty, has those areas been identified for sandpiper? Yeah, what you're talking about?
Know where the different grasses are?
Mhm.
Yes and no,
Okay,
because we just laid a bunch of sod.
in the middle, yeah.
And then, but those locations are more in the little high areas.
That's,
between-
okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And Tom and I are on that. So that's gonna cost a bit to get it. To be decided, but it needs to be done.
And then I did also send over some pest control quotes for homes in the areas, including the townhomes out in Sandpiper. To do the lake house itself,
Mhm.
which would be a quarterly treatment, which you would see us over a large span of time, just because the amount of space. We'll sweep eaves of your roof to take care of any kind of spider webs, wasp nests, little dirt homes for the mud daubers. We go around to all of your entry points, so your windows, your doors, your garage door, applying the product to make sure no bugs can come in from where you come in. Then we go around with each servicing around the base of your exterior walls and foundation, applying the product to make sure no bugs can come in from the cracks in the foundation, acting as a barrier for the home. Now, we do live in Florida, so bugs do find their way inside from time to time. So in the off chance it does happen, we do offer free service calls. And to have that, if you see any kind of bug activity, you can call up the office and we'll be able to set up a service call within about 3 to 5 business days. And we'll be able to take care of roaches, silverfish, really anything that could bite at you and your family. I know spiders are a little limited just because of how they move on their 8 legs, they hover instead of dragging their body through the product. Now, but we will take care of wolf spiders just because those are ground habit spiders, so our product will work on those.
Guys, I missed the paired villas quote. I have Sandpiper, HOA, Sagewood, and Westlake.
Yeah. I was gonna.
Same note.
One more thing.
Paired villas, I missed your quote for paired villas.
I do apologize for
Okay.
that. For the paired villas, it is 17,000 per year for the lawn care.
Okay,
And then you said for Sandpiper,
no, I got that one.
Yeah.
That's
Can I just read those back because I want to make sure I have those? So I have Sandpiper Crest 21,000. The master or the HOA is 23,000. Sagewood is 45,000. Westlake is 17,000 and Paired Villas is 17,000.
the paired villas is 17,000. I do apologize, Westlake is 5,000. It's a
5,000.
quite smaller space.
Mm.
These are per year
That makes
prices.
sense.
I do apologize.
Okay, I just want to make sure, thanks.
Which, to Patty and Rebecca, I'm looking at the budget.
Yeah,
Which line item is this in the budget? I see contracted services, I also see things
it should be under landscaping services, yeah.
contract services.
Yes, and it could be the third.
Really?
Because you have
So,
irrigation,
Okay,
landscaping.
so I'm looking at the master budget. We'll just take the master for example. Master.
It wouldn't be under irrigation. It would be
It's
under
under pest control. It's-
Contract services.
Should be
okay.
the third one down.
It's 111K total.
That's for all the areas.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about the budget after. We don't want to take these guys' time up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, gentlemen?
So I do have the pricing for the pest control for all these areas.
Oh, okay, let's do that, yeah.
Now, for Westlake, I had originally measured out the entire neighborhood, including the homes. So I do have a quote for Westlake, if that's something that you would be interested in.
Sure, give it to us.
For the lake house itself, so what we're standing in is gonna be right at 320 per year.
So this.
Sorry,
It'd be 320 per year for just this building
Are
for
you
the
sure?
HOA.
$220.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what it's
Okay.
for spring? It shouldn't be.
For
Because
the
that's
shared villas,
Mhm.
to take care of all of the same space of the lawn care, it would be $17,400 a year. For Sagewood, we are looking at it's $15,200 per year. For the properties out in Westlake, we're looking at $17,150 per year. And then Sandpiper for the townhomes, we're looking at just $15,000 per year.
Now, will you do that for homeowners on their own? Because we're not responsible for the inside of the homes.
Yeah, so we can definitely do that for you. So with the servicing, if you do want to go through the HOAs, anytime they have service calls, they can just reach out and we'll be able to process that. As the Fishhawk Range West community, that would be pretty easy, at least on schedule.
April, did you get all that? April, can you hear us?
Yeah, nope, I've got it written down. Is there an issue or?
No, I was
wanted
to make sure you
got
got everything. Cause
Yeah, I've got
Alright.
it all written down. And the only one was Westlake. I got 17 and I can't remember if he said 17.2 or 17.4.
150.
150, okay. Per year.
So I don't understand, so paired villas. They're paired, so essentially it's 100 homes, but they're 50 buildings. Is $17,400 for just pest control.
Yes, sir. So it's based off the square footage of the building. So what we do is we pulled up the Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, and we took the most accurate number from there. What it goes is it's 2,000 or.
So is this treating the inside of the home?
So it's a quarterly service. Normally, we are only treating the outside of the home.
Okay,
Now, we do offer those free service calls because we do guarantee that preventative service, just in case any bugs do find their way inside of them. So it'll be inside as well.
See, okay. All right, any questions from the board?
Not right now, no, thank you.
Gentlemen?
Is there any selective issues that you guys come across as far as homeowners, with issues on their lawn? Is there certain pests that contribute yearly effects, funguses that's prolonged, or anything that's popping up, we have unfamiliar weeds and you've caused issues with kids or anything like that?
This year we've had major fungus. To the point we've had to replace 2 pretty decent sized.
And it's varies, you gotta be selective on when you're gonna be applying that new sod, because you don't wanna put that in the wrong air, you're watering it, and then you're working with fungus on new sod that's not even acclimated into the ground.
Right.
Just be careful when you put down the sod, depending on where you're at, just make sure that irrigation is up to date, that's always the main play.
Right.
It's gonna cause all the problems, whether it's a pest because of dry areas, or whether it's a fungus because of wet.
It's a wet area.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I will go ahead and I will get email sent over with the updated numbers. And we'll get any more details as we move forward.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. Hope everyone has a nice night.
Thank you so much.
Well, their pest control numbers seem exceptionally high to me.
Exceptional.
So that's $174 per
Home.
address in paired villas, that's just one example. So I don't know if he's made another clerical error or what, but that seems really high to me, so we'll have to continue to work on those numbers.
Yeah.
However, the lawn care, when we look at, say, PV, I'm just using PV as an example. Let's look at their budget. That's the master home scrolling, please bear with me.
I have the numbers here.
Here we go, yeah,
I
go ahead. So I got contracted services for PV.
Yeah, for landscaping contracted services for Sandpiper Crest, we have a total budget of 60,000, their cost was 21. For the master, we have a total contracted service amount of 22,000, their quote was 23. For Sagewood, we have a budgeted amount of 50,000, and the, quote from them was 45. Westlake had 12,000 budgeted, their quote was 5. The Paired Villas has 75,000 and their quote was 17.
Can I see the budget?
Mhm.
Because it's not landscaping, it's just the insect control, the pest control.
The,
It would be.
he gave us two, he gave us pest control, he also gave us
Yeah, I
landscaping.
think pest control
That's what she
is
just
the
wrote off
second
as
one.
landscaping.
Yeah, so it was the landscaping.
That's what I've been.
I don't know what these other
But it's not
areas,
actual
but
landscaping, it's not mowing and blowing.
What's that now?
Is there,
That's the numbers
I
you
mean,
pulled.
do we currently have any pest control services?
So you have.
Or is it just personal per home?
Yes,
So this
True Green does
is
it.
mowing and blowing, and
Right.
tree trimming and stuff.
They do it as part of the contract.
Irrigation is
Okay.
irrigation. And then
True
the insect
Green,
I know what I pay home
This
team
one.
for. They
Mhm.
come to my house and they
And
hook
they
up and do
put-
everything in the walls and outside, and it is
True.
not
Three or
any.
four bucks a year, right?
Yeah, it's like $350 for the year.
They're extremely.
Oh, but what were they quoting us? What we, you said it was 174 for Paired Villa? Is that quote?
address, yeah,
Per year?
it's raised for everybody right now.
yes.
So it's still half
Oh, is
of
that per year?
If that's per year, then that's still half of what we're paying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what'd you say?
But it's by square footage too. So I have a standalone
They
home and they have
were
a
supposed to
paired
be out
villa.
the other day.
Right, yeah.
So
That's
when
not
you do it by square footage, my house is gonna be bigger than a paired
What's that come
villa.
out to? I'm home. Those numbers are pretty, 17,400
You don't see them?
divided by 12 equals, divided by 100 homes equals, so that comes out to $14.50 per month per house.
In the Paired Villa.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
I pay like $70 a month for pest control.
Right.
Okay, it's something to look at. We need to, homework assignment is to crunch the numbers, get all the budget numbers lined up next to the proposals, and then
Mhm.
we can take a look at that. This isn't pressing, right? Like,
No,
we need
not
this
at all.
immediately.
It was just something, because I know April wanted to check out. I'm
I-
fed up with True Green.
I do like their aversion to Roundup. I like how they use
Yeah.
alternatives.
Right, and that's why I figured April.
That's
was
something
gonna
I've
be
brought
part of.
Is there, does our contract with True Green expire on a certain date or can we end it at any time? Or
The contract expires, we started with them in March. But
are we stuck till March of this year?
No.
That's pretty close.
It's
Anyway,
not-
okay. Okay.
Would you wanna separate the pest control from the lawn service?
that's,
So
we
you
put
have-
that in.
Oh,
The
that-
landscaping is only sunrise, and pest control is.
I'm talking about the fertilization. Right? Cause pie is fertilization
Right,
and then you got somebody else to cut it, but then home team or somebody else would do pest control, not fertilization.
okay, because right now we don't do. Pest
We don't provide any pest control officially,
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
control, but it's not.
Okay, I didn't know that.
but is that something the community can vote on too? Like,
I mean, we can take a look, we'll just look at the budget and see what budget, if we can afford it, we can afford it.
okay.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to look at it in detail, not do it off the.
Right.
from the
Yes,
hip.
definitely.
Okay, so motion to table this for another meeting.
It was informational more than,
What's that?
it was informational more than anything. else.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great.
All in favor of tabling this till next month, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed?
It says I too.
One thing, yeah. All right, next on the agenda, assignment of committee liaisons. So.
Here we
these-
go.
Okay, let's see. So these are the list of the committees that we have, or that need to be stood up again.
Yes.
So we have a social committee, a finance committee, an election committee, eventually fining committee, and then security committee. Typically what happens, there's a board member that is the liaison to each of these committees, is not necessarily on the committee, but communicates the board's intentions and then communicates between the committee back to the board. So, who would like to be the liaison to what committee?
What are they again?
Social, finance, election, fining, security, and ad hoc.
I will volunteer to be the liaison for finance.
That makes sense. Thank God, you don't want me doing that.
Wonderful. All right.
April, go ahead.
Just let me say-
I'm happy to step up for the social committee.
Yeah.
How you do?
I didn't think anybody'd be fighting for it, but if you want to fight me, I'm just down the road.
I could do security and or fun.
I'll do one of those to you.
I'll take security in this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do the finding.
Can we call it compliance?
Yeah, compliance is much nicer than finding.
So who's social?
April.
April.
Social.
We got social, we got finance. Finding is you.
I'll be compliance, yeah. We're gonna call it
Finding
compliance.
doesn't meet too much, so.
No.
It's kind of a misunderstanding. The finding committee goes around and finds people. That is not what they do. They are the arbiter, if you will.
Yes.
Security is you?
Yep.
And did we do election? Somebody volunteer for election?
No.
Nobody? John, who would be the liaison to the election committee?
Sure. Yes, I can do that.
I would, I don't, can the president be a liaison to a committee?
You can be the
I
liaison.
forget
to
what the rules say.
ad hoc.
You're the catch-all.
You're grinning. I
Or-
don't know what it means.
We lost the
You
founder.
don't know what I said.
You know, Mac isn't here, so we can
Yeah.
always volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
He is a great, let's nominate him.
Something else to consider is that, Mark, you can't, I guess, run for president again. I don't know, that was brought up at one of the meetings that you've kind of served your terms, so maybe you might be a good person for the election committee. That way there's no conflict of interest.
But he's only president this term. He was his, only,
He's got 2 years, right?
he's got a 2-year term. He's got.
Okay, so this is for the following year?
It's really just the liaison to the committee to say, hey, when are you meeting?
Right.
These are the things
Yeah.
you need, that signs, that kind of thing.
So should we have
Gotcha.
a committee and
Yeah.
then John as the ad hoc?
I like that idea. That sounds
Because
great.
that's
I'm-
like delegates.
Yeah,
programs
it's just
and
communication,
the-
coordination.
Yeah, and then the, build a defects.
Perfect. Mac it is, election,
Good job.
and then ad hoc.
Sure.
As needed will be done. Fantastic. New business dog park for committee. Did we go over that already?
Yes,
Are we done with that? Okay,
I'm gonna have a tree cut down. There's a dead palm in there. Tom's gonna take care of it. It's gonna
in
be,
the dog park?
yeah.
Okay.
You wanna see a picture of it? Okay. He's gonna leave it like 4 feet up, so the dogs can still run around it, jump on it. do
Do we
it.
have a formal quote for the dog park yet, or is it just, they've just dropped samples?
They did. It's just, I don't know.
It's too much, okay.
All right.
All right.
Next item, proposals. Master Association, Florida Pool Structures, Exhibit A.
Let's do that after. We
Okay,
do the,
we want to do
Sunrise.
first. You want to do landscaping?
yes.
Okay.
Tom's
Are we-
back.
Hey, nice to see you again, Tom.
Does everybody know Tom?
Yeah.
From the landscaping company?
No.
Hi, Tom.
You want to introduce up the new board, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
Tom Sunrise. And then five after, short career in the Air Force, Penn State University grad, meteorology of all things, transition to landscaping, that's hired Tom Snow, so I'm here.
Nice.
It's the short.
Does Tom have anything specific to brief, or are we going to just go through the proposals, he'll explain each one?
We'll just go through the quick one.
Okay, sounds good. First one to talk about. There's none in the master, so there's a couple in San.
Yes.
Some common area tree removal, tell me about this.
So, that's approved. So we have a lot of dead trees right here
Mhm.
from the builder. So Tom's gonna take them out
Okay,
and just put sod in.
Even on the front side of that, not Kite Lane, that faces one of the front side, there's a dead palm that's been there since the construction as well. I don't know if that was taken
On
into
that corner.
consideration. The main entry point. I'll point it, I'll get the address for you, because I go up to the mailbox every day and see it, so
Okay.
that's been dead since the construction.
There's some, we have
This-
a couple represented in the proposal too.
Yeah, so then it might be, but that's on common area or is that on homeowners?
I wanna say it's on the, towards the HOA side, so not,
That'd be a different one. We'll look for it tomorrow.
yeah,
Okay.
so if we remove a tree, I really would like to replace a tree.
I agree. 90% of the time. These trees were put in here only because the builder had to.
I could just, I'm gonna.
The builder only put these trees in there because he had to.
Mhm.
They've been dying constantly. We've had to uproot them. Stand them after the hurricane. Yeah.
And
There,
not the best selection for trees in that area, so I don't know whether they were left over, but we've had some were broken, on, cut.
Hmm.
Just they're taking a beating and they've been pretty rough shape.
so at least remove some of these because they're gonna grow too big and they don't belong, most of the trees don't belong there, they're too close to the property.
Right, that's true. The builder does do that.
Yeah.
Put an oak 4 feet from your house, yeah.
Exactly, and I mean, literally by there, you can see how close some of the trees are.
Right, okay.
Is there an opportunity, and just bringing this up as a suggestion, is to put something in the middle from a privacy perspective, like a bush going down the middle?
Like, where those bushes
Like
go.
ficus or something like that?
Let's do this. Let's approve the removal of the trees for tonight, whatever the board wants to do.
Mhm.
And then ask Tom to look at some sort of native landscaping features that would function well in that area.
So this, so where we put the sod, something in between,
Not center line edge.
Something that'll look nice.
natural tree.
And that'll be-
Sure.
That just got replaced about 6 weeks ago or something like that?
Yeah.
The sod at least?
So
But we're gonna sod in these tree.
Where the
rings,
tree
Yeah.
rings are.
And they're all over, so
The
I
front
think,
section of the thing, yeah.
we don't know how long it's gonna be, so let's fix it, make it look nice.
and then we can make.
And then we'll look at some
That looks
proposals,
like a
because it may
very
or may
long
not be in the
idea.
budget. It may or may not be in their budget, depending on what he comes up with.
Yeah, Sandpiper Crest has basically no money right now.
Yeah.
I mean, no money.
Can they even afford the tree removal? It's $1,884.
Right. Oh, it's right in my hand. Yeah, they're with the Sandpiper Crest has, they're under budget. I mean, with unpaid, the prepaids, if you take out, the prepaids were negative 13,000 at this point, so. I mean, there's cash in the account, but there's, with the prepaids, we don't have any money to spend, so.
I thought that was different last year.
They had the biggest surplus last
Oh,
year.
yeah, that's when, I'm in Sandpiper, so.
I'll
No
double check.
conflict of interest, I'm just saying, I thought we didn't have to worry about
Yeah,
that much.
I'll check, I'll double check it and make sure I didn't like mix up the reports when because I had to create this manually, so. And I did it
Okay.
about an hour before the meeting.
Let's come back to that.
Yeah.
We'll come back, let's table Sandpiper for now. We'll come back to it at the end of the meeting. Let's look at Sagebrook. So we got a shrub removal and a shrub replacement at 2 different houses. Patty?
Okay, so 13535. This is, I wanna make sure it's the right one, yes. So this one, you can't see, but way up close to the house, the pipe broke. And the homeowner actually had to have the pipe replaced. There's a section of the bush that's removed.
Mhm.
He wants the whole bush taken out. Understandably so, because it already cracked his pipe and
Mm,
a bush in a tree is not gonna crack the pipe, but crack in a pipe, the bush is gonna go through it. Cause it's gonna go with the water, but he wants it gone. And it looks, they're horrible, these bushes, sorry. So if we can remove that. And put in grasses,
Why? Why are we removing this landscaping?
because it's.
The
because
root structure or what?
The roots are going down to the pipe and causing the pipe to break.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what the pipe guy said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that is total cost of $421.
Yeah.
That's just removal and disposal of the materials. We're gonna, and then installing some, okay.
Yeah, he's gonna put,
No, running grasses, like painting grasses.
Oh, I see.
So.
So you're putting a landscaping feature in. Okay, great.
Small landscape area, got by doing a couple different things,
Mhm.
and they're starting to overgrow the width and get into the driveways a little bit.
Yeah, I see
They're
that.
very weak, so as we continue to shear them, they look like skeletons on the side, and just overgrown their usefulness.
It's gonna
So the
scratch
idea
it.
is we're gonna take them anyway, we'll put some painting grasses, if there's some color, if they would never put a carving or anything like that, we can clean them up and so it's pretty throughout all of it. So, good replacement.
And it's 2 houses with the same, no, they're different. All right, let's go ahead and then talk about this. So the motion to pay $421.50 to remove a shrub and replace with sod and other native grasses at 13535 Circuit Crossing. That's the motion.
A second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
April says aye.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry, treasurer, they have, how is,
I'm looking to see if maybe I had a typo because I created that report manually, so I'm looking to see about
okay,
this.
but so for this one in particular, for Sagewood, they have $421 to remove the shrub.
Sagewood has 400.
Okay, perfect. And then the next one for Sagewood is same thing, remove another shrub. This one's a little cheaper, $176.67. Remove picture of dead shrub and dispose, and then put in some grasses. Motion to do the same thing, $176.67 at 13514 Circuit Crossing.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's get that work done.
April had said aye too. I didn't catch it quite fast enough, sorry.
That's okay. Let's see, Pear Villas has one landscaping at 5605 Kingsley. It's another shrub replacement. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, it's a dead shrub already. That price is $267.63. How's Pear Villas budget?
Checking, just
Good.
that's the one I am.
On standby.
Yeah, it's kind of just.
Yes, I think they were emailed.
Yeah, they're in the read ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is 120. Okay, yeah, they have plenty.
They're good with that? All right, the motion to pay $267.63 to remove a shrub at 5605 Kingsley.
Second.
Second, before we vote, Tom, are we putting anything else in that place, or are you just pulling the shrub out of the ground?
No, we gotta replace them.
Okay, got it. All right,
A little bit more expensive than one photo, but I just want to cover the utility and split something a little bigger to start with, so we're not waiting.
I see that. That'll look nice. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
April said aye.
That is all the landscaping features. There's none for Westlake right now. And none for the master. Are we ready to come back to Sandpiper?
Yes, so Sandpiper has, I had the numbers flip flop between Westlake and Sandpiper Crest, so they have money in their account.
Okay, great. So going back to Sandpiper,
It was 400 and change. Or
so Sandpiper was, so the tree removal and shrub replacement, or I'm sorry, not shrub, tree removal, sod replacement, $2,414.42.
yeah, they have.
Good with that? All right. The motion is to pay $2,414.42 to remove 10 dead trees and install sod in their place.
A second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
April said aye.
All right, that motion carries.
And then the next one.
The
is
next
Skytop.
one is 5737 Skytop. It's a tree replacement.
Actually, there's two on the.
Ooh, yeah, that
property.
tree looks
There's
bad.
a tree, yeah,
It's two for the same address.
yes.
One's a palm tree and the other
That's,
is,
I think that's the
Yeah.
one, that's the one I'm
That's what
talking
I'm
about.
This is Pear Villas, right?
No, Sandpiper.
Oh, Sandpiper, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, they.
Can you see it?
replace.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
April, you wanna see?
She did.
It's in the packet. So the.
I saw it in the
motion-
packet. I reviewed all the notes.
The motion is to replace two dead Japanese blueberry trees and one Washingtonian palm tree. The total price is $2,781.50. The address is 5737 Skytop.
A second.
Second, treasurer, we good?
Yeah.
Okay, treasurer says we're good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
April said
opposed?
aye.
No opposed, okay. That is all the landscaping.
Nope, one more came in, was listed on there, but you guys didn't have a picture of it.
Oh.
So this is, I'll pass it around. Right.
We got one save round?
Yes, so 352. That's Sandpiper.
What area is this?
It's still Sandpiper.
Sandpiper? Spend a lot of. land.
Are there irrigation issues with all the dead things in Sandpiper?
Honestly, I just think they picked up.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, when they, the builder, they just left.
The bill just left.
gotcha.
It's.
I'm in for a new build. We moved in 2 years ago and the way that they threw those in there and just referenced.
I'm getting reports that the video for our meeting has cut out.
All eyes are off.
Yeah,
Oh,
we kicked the plug out or something?
I don't know.
We can hear you, we just can't see you.
Okay.
Probably better that way.
Yeah, I look much better.
Let's just
than
see if
you hear me.
Yeah.
Could be a glitch. We don't want to interrupt the meeting. As long as you can hear, we'll go audio only, I guess. All right, what's the next one? Batting?
5785 Spotted Harrier,
Mm-hmm.
and it's $352.
And this is in Sagebrook again.
Sandpiper Hill.
Sandpiper Crest, sorry. Sandpiper Crest.
They need a lot of.
Can I see the thing? Thank you.
What health number was that?
Do you remember the house number?
This one is 575 Strawberry.
Mhm.
It's a green palmetto. I think that's part of the issue with some of the village stuff, is not a lot of consistency in planning, so there'll be a palmetto one, there'll be a Washingtonian one, there'll be a Pancom one.
And then
And they both have different water requirements, so it's super important that
Mhm.
we really tight on that shit, just to make sure that everything's getting customized. It's a tough process, right? And you're doing that.
So does it make sense to replace it with similar things? So that the watering is all uniform and you don't continue with that same problem? Or does it make sense to replace it with stuff that's already dying?
I guess I would ask you guys, things were installed by an approved plan from the county. Can you change the original bill? Like that, I don't know. Sure, we can certainly talk about that, but I think that's something that we need to be investigating over before we just start changing.
I agree.
All right. $350 motion is to remove and replace picture dead palmetto palm green for $352.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 April says aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Nobody. Motion carries. All right,
Okay,
that is back to Florida pool structure.
yes.
All right, exhibit A in your packet. For those following along. Is a new pool structure for the pool. Video's back up. Wonderful. It's been a bandwidth thing.
All of a sudden it popped up on the screen finally, just fixed video, so.
All right, Patty, in your most outside voice,
And my most outside voice,
please explain to us this play structure.
the play structure is actually needs to be replaced due to what we have is broken.
Concur.
It can just not work happen anymore. We have to do the resealing of the recoating of the pool anyway, which is included in this packet, but not in that first number. So as we were looking for different things, this is the closest we can come to be age appropriate for all the different children that play on it, and it shouldn't be broken as often as the other stuff was.
I think that's what we mentioned last year,
Mhm.
something less minuscule or something like that, less, yeah.
It just looks like there's less pieces to break off.
Mhm.
Exactly. And it's metal, but it's coated,
Mhm.
so it's definitely a lot more than I thought it was gonna be for such a small location, small
Yeah,
portion. But I can price it out to other companies,
Yep. How much is this one?
$295,566.
Wasn't a piece of that included in last year's budget for this year?
Yes, but it wasn't that much.
It wasn't.
This is gonna be a special project
Mhm.
for Patty and.
Yeah.
Treasurer and anybody else that wants to help.
Yeah.
We should get some more quotes on this.
Yeah.
It does need to be replaced.
Mhm.
So if anybody knows a good pool
Is-
structure
the
company,
resurfacing the pool, just normal maintenance.
Yes, but that's in reserves. Yeah.
Thank you.
that's to be done every 10 years, I think. Yeah.
And this is our year to do it, so we have to make that. We want to do this before we do that. or
That
do
makes sense.
it Hand in hand.
Right. Do them all at the same time. We're trying to do this around the end of the year, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, November, December timeframe.
Fall,
Yeah. All right, so we got a little bit of time to figure it out. But yeah, that's a lot of money for that.
Yeah, it's
It's such a tiny little thing.
Anybody interested in this project, feel free to help Patty out, send her some pool structure companies if you know a good one. And let's get a few quotes and a couple designs.
Yes.
Anything else on that, Patty?
Nope.
Thank you, man. All right, back to old business. Let's talk about delegates. So we really want to do this once let's get this year going. This is going to be another initiative that we need to spearhead. This is going to be for our ad hoc committee liaison.
Exactly.
Who did we just assign? So yeah, so the neighbor, last year we did some pretty good work and research on this. We got the neighborhoods defined and broken out by address.
I need to get a map.
Now what we need is a process on how to get it going.
Right.
And I think that we can get it going, and then I think the goal would be to include the election of the delegates in this year's election,
Yes.
right? Do it all at once.
Mhm.
So by that point, we should have the plan in place. And
Plan.
what it would require is there's 19 neighborhoods, correct?
Mhm.
So we would need a primary and an alternate from each identified neighborhood.
Right.
That's a lot,
That's a lot of people.
but that's a lot of great community involvement, a lot of opportunity for people to get involved, so. I'll work with you on that, John. We'll work together through the plan, and anybody else that wants to participate.
Yeah, I think, and just right off the bat, I think, like, I wouldn't say an issue, but the first thing to point out, at least for ours, and that's what I got a report from you, is the amount of renters in our area, right?
Mhm.
So there's almost half the neighborhoods renters.
Mhm.
It's a matter of getting the owners invested in it.
We'll reach out to them, send them letters.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll continue to leave that in old business, but we're gonna get that process started.
Yes.
3 years in. HOA property tax update discussion. I think we talked about that at the beginning of the meeting, so we don't need to rehash that.
Yep.
And our next meeting will be February 29th,
Mhm. No, yes, that's right.
right? Assuming we don't have a meeting before then,
Well, and
which if we get,
schedule both
which we likely will. We likely will to talk about the AC when she gets those quotes.
exactly. As somebody asked last month, what was the next board meeting? So I'm gonna start putting in the next board meeting at the end of every packet.
Got it. Perfect. Like it. It's announced February 29th, 2024, next board. All right. Any other comments or concerns from the board? No? Okay. At this,
Next one.
no? All right. At this point, we open the floor to resident comments. I see one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm not gonna be the only one. Things that we're on the agenda tonight that I want to talk about, and only, 3 minutes each, so bear with me, I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can. But I want to ask you first off, is that looking at everything I say, like I'm talking to you about your house. Mark, am I loud enough? I'm trying not to.
I didn't wear my hearing aids tonight, Kyle.
Yeah, no problem. So I asked y'all to do that because that's how I'm talking to you about, about my neighbor's house. And the other thing I want to ask you to do is, not take any of it personal because, from my perspective, this is a pretty new board. But I don't look at it as people on a board. I look at this as I live in Fishhawk West. I've been living here since 2018. And the Fishhawk West Homeowners Association is who, I have to deal with. It's who I pay my money to. So this isn't about people sitting around this table. The first thing I wanted to ask about, and you may not want to talk about it, is I came here specifically because on the agenda it said the attorney's report. So I assume that had something to do with the Merry Christmas letter I got from the HOA, not just me, but the entire pair of bills. For those of us who have refused to allow the irrigation controller to be installed.
No, that's not the case. These are the people in collections.
Okay, so I was wrong about that assumption, right? But I want you to know that's why I got me and several of our neighbors that declined to have this installed are here tonight, and they're all probably going to speak as well. So we didn't get and I have a little different situation that I'm not going to go into, but I did submit a letter to the HOA prior to them showing up saying, hey, where does it say in the governing documents that the HOA can relocate my irrigation controller? Clearly, it says in the HOA documents that the HOA can replace it. Okay, clearly says it. No doubt in my mind, I see it. I would ask though, since it's my money being spent, that the HOA would look at replacing the controller only when it's needed. And in this case, everybody's controller was functioning. So again, I'm saying it's our money ultimately that is being spent to replace them. So And I know, Mark, you've heard this all before, but I'm saying it again because I don't understand that. I don't understand if it doesn't say specifically in the governing documents that the HOA can move my irrigation controller to a different location on my house without the owner's permission. So that leads me to the next thing, and I'm gonna try to get off the irrigation controller as fast as I can, but I specifically asked the HOA for the contractor not to come to my house. I specifically told the contractor not to come to my house. The HOA said, okay, we're not, because you can always sue me, right? I mean, you have lots of options. I mean, the first thing you have to do is take me to mediation because I pay my bills and I've never had a violation. So they took me off the list. What happened? The contractor's out there drilling holes in my house. I'm in my house. He didn't knock on my door. He didn't do anything but drill holes in my house. And then it's still not properly repaired, which I would send y'all a letter asking you to have it properly repaired, but I haven't, any letters I've sent, and I've sent quite a few in the last year, I've never received a single response. But in one of those letters, I said, hey, please show me in the governing documents where it says that you could relocate this and I'll shut my house. It didn't say anything. You know, I never got a response. So if it's there, please tell us. But if it's not there, then why are we doing this? If it's your home, if I come to your home and say, you know what, I don't want your sprinkler controller there, I'm gonna move it. You're not gonna like that. Especially when you're paying, I mean, we're paying for the service. So I'm gonna leave that there. And then, sorry, I got notes here. Lawn service. Now we're gonna talk about the lawns. I have been doing the one, I didn't used to even submit the complaints or the maintenance request, but I've been submitting maintenance requests at least since March, maybe a little before. And my yard has gotten worse every single month. My yard is atrocious. Now, I took a video of it once saying, hey, oh, here's the bad parts and here's where it looks good. It's atrocious. So I submitted a maintenance request and I said, hey, my yard's atrocious. It hasn't gotten any better. I would like to meet with the person at my house. You know, please let me know what time. And what ended up happening was Patty did come out, but I didn't know when she was coming. There was no time scheduled with me, and she walked through it with the landscaper. Now, let me ask you this. If you're paying somebody to do your lawn and you ask them, hey, I'm having a problem with my service, I'd like you to come meet with me. And then they don't meet with you. They just come out and do whatever. So I didn't get to point out everything. I mean, Patty definitely identified a couple of things. The weeds are out of control and the dead bush. But let me just tell you, you just voted to spend $260 on a bush at my place. That if you don't want to spend it, I'm good with it. I'll replace that bush. I don't know why that bush died. I wasn't even going to bring the bush up, but I was going to bring up the fact that when they laid the mulch down, they put mulch where I used to have grass. And the reason they put it there is because there's no grass anymore because the yard has been so poorly cared for. So that, if I would hire a contractor to do that, that contract, and then that contractor didn't come meet with me, I'd fire him. So would you. So would everybody sitting on this board. So I'm not asking for anything that you wouldn't expect as a homeowner. So that's, and again, I'm trying to be brief. Yeah, I'm not great at that sometimes. How, I gotta go back to the irrigation now. How do the new irrigation controllers benefit this community? How does that, so the reason I asked that question is because when I moved in on November 2018, not one time from November 2018 till May of 2023 did an irrigation person come to my house and do a single thing. Not one time. But all that time, I paid my dues. I paid my money into the HOA, into the Fairville service area for irrigation. And again, you know what? I didn't really care. I didn't really care because none of my stuff was broken. Why would they come, right? But now we have this whole discussion about Fairvillas aren't capable of watering their own lawn. So we've got to put a new controller out on the outside of their house, and we've got to have this company come every day. If that in fact is required by the governing documents, then for November 2018 till May 2023, the HOA failed to do its job. So either way, but I'm saying, hey, I don't think the HOA failed for those 5 years, because I didn't have a problem with my irrigation system. Where I think the HOA is failing is now they're spending my money on a new controller, which, like I said, my house is a completely different case because I've owned solar equipment, but let's say I didn't. Spending my money, which I've already paid for, came out of the budget last year, came out on a controller when I don't need one. Then I go to the budget meeting this year because I didn't go the year before. So I was asked to come, be a participant. I'm the only person, and this is the Paired Villas budget, okay? So the only people that really care about the Paired Villas budget should be Paired Villas, right? So I am the only homeowner there from the Paired Villas. And I explained to the guy doing the budget that, hey, we don't need new sprinkler heads. We don't need new Hunter version 6,000 sprinkler heads. He ignored me. Totally ignored me. Still showed up in the budget. So then when they're about to vote on the budget, I'm making some objections over there for the record, and people think I'm crazy. But I'm not crazy because I came and participated in the process. And I said, hey, we don't need that. Why are you doing that? Didn't get a good answer. No response from the HOA at all. Just come up, I show up in the budget and it's still in there. It's my money. If those sprinkler heads, this is my thought on this. If those sprinkler heads are that important for the Paired Villas, then my God, you need to direct every home in the place. Every home in Fish Hawk West should have it, not just the Paired Villas. So if you do that, well, then I don't have a leg to stand, I don't feel like I have a leg to stand on. But this is what I'm trying to make people understand. It's not like I have no violations. I pay my dues on time. I participate in the process, but we get ignored. We get ignored. And again, this isn't. So lastly, because I'm going way over. Imagine someone thinking that they can do whatever they want to your house. Imagine they can do whatever they want. How are you going to feel about that? Because, like, for instance, when Patty came out to do the inspection, one of the things I complained about in my yard was a downspout that was damaged by the landscapers. Patty comes out, landscaper takes the downspout off. And now they're gonna repair it. I think that's why they took it. They didn't have my permission to take it off. What if I come to your house and take your downspout off because it's broken and needs repair and I don't tell you, how are you gonna feel about that? Are you gonna even know that I'm the one that took it off? Patty did send me an email, but my position is don't take anything off my house until I've given permission to do so. So I'm gonna stop because I probably went over, and I know some other folks were gonna say their piece. But thank you for your time.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah,
Good,
thank
I
you.
found it.
Thank you. Ma'am, please state your name and then. Hi, Alicia.
So I missed the first few minutes about the fake grass. Are there other alternatives to the dog park? And my understanding is that I smell like pee and whatnot.
Yeah. Do you have a suggestion?
Well, they have, clove. You ever heard of like clove? It's the weed that you plant and
The real
that's better than. So that might be an alternative.
I would love an alternative to that.
Yeah,
So I don't know, I mean, I don't know if we can get it, I don't know if we can get it or you might. But it's like, but it's supposed to last and it might be a little bit better for the dogs.
That was a new thing that was coming out in the last couple of years. I don't know if it'll work, but I'll.
Well, let's let her say her piece and then.
That's good.
Suggestions and that.
awesome.
I have a complaint, but I'm trying to. Help suggestions now. So that is an alternative. And then you said something interesting that half of the people that live here are renters.
No, that's
Yeah.
for my section of the neighborhood.
Okay, well, I'm still gonna make a comment, so. Half of the houses in Fishhawk, excluding even, the parts that are taken care of by whoever gets paid to take care of them, they look terrible. Now I typically go over and enforce them when the house looks like it's been abandoned. And there are a number of houses in this neighborhood that quite frankly need to be painted. Hasn't seen mulch in probably the last 5 years. There's one house in particular that I know I've reported to Patty, that's 2 different colors. And it's not supposed to be 2 different colors. My understanding, I was told at some point that it's a construction defect. Well, I'm pretty sure the house has been here for 8 or 9 years. The statute of repose is probably gonna run, and the house has been like that for 4 years, so I know that the statute of limitations on that construction defect or stucco issue has run. It looks terrible. I had a house taken 3 times. I take care of you're talking about your house, I take care of my house. I walk my dog. And so you talk about there's a finding committee. Well, is there a committee that can help Patty with code enforcement issues, HOA rule breaking issues? Because we can't, it's just not fair to those that sit in our house to have to live in a neighborhood and have our values, our property values go down because you've got renters and people that don't want to take care of their property. So that's my.
Thanks.
Oh, my God.
To address your one question, if there is something you have a problem with one of your neighbors, you think something's a violation, you can just send an email to management@FHRW.org and Patty or Jennifer will go out and inspect.
Yeah, it's gotta be, well, there's only 2. It's a big neighborhood. It's, it's not, and it's not for them, because they will, but I don't want to be that asshole neighbor that's like literally going, oh, your house sucks, your house sucks, your house. Because I can look at half the neighborhood and report half the neighborhood. I typically wait until it looks abandoned. For real, like when the weeds are bigger than the bush, it's a problem.
I agree with you. We do have a little over 1,200 homes in the neighborhood. A little over 5,000 residents. So if you're willing to help and identify some of these discrepancies, I'm sure Patty would be more than willing to file the appropriate paperwork to get it taken care of.
And I think the finding committee, which I think next month will be looking for volunteers to participate. I think that would be a great opportunity.
After that, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's when somebody disputes their fine.
Yeah. That's me, I was that. Well, if you have a committee that, how does it? It's really like fishing part, second.
Thank you. Other community comments, ma'am?
I think Kyle covered everything very thoroughly, but I think there are several of us here that feel exactly the same way. I don't know if anyone else wants to maybe more. Like Kyle has said, and I feel the exact same way. I just don't think that it's fair that, there are people in the community that are clearly violating, their grass is terrible, they're not watering. But, we're forced to, pay higher dues and eventually have someone take over our water and, yeah,
Thank you for your input and
Amy, thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Other community comments? Coming out, Steve.
And one of the things that we bring into obviously is discrepancy between the board and the home. Pushing back a bit on the board and kind of the overreach on this. And the privacy, the control of privately paid for water, request for commando, access via Wi-Fi to our home networks. There's a lot of issues there, and I think the board needs to take a step back, kind of look at the fundamental problems of what got you here, and address that instead of trying to push another problem on homeowners that it doesn't really solve the original problem. No disrespect to Valor, but they set up some of my neighbors' timers, and there's a lake in between the units. And it's like, how can you guys be in control of this? And you're not even checking up on things. Because they set yours to run for half an hour and it never stopped. It was flooding for hours. And it's like, it's just,
that overreach and having a contractor that isn't liable for the water or the board that's liable for the water usage. I think that's where fundamentally the problem comes out.
Mhm, mhm.
You know, that you are asking homeowners to give up that, you know, the privacy part and that control.
Yes, sir.
And especially for us homeowners who are fully in compliance, never received any violations, don't have any dead grass, don't have this out of place. You know, it's like, how do you, you know, it feels that
Yes, sir.
much.
Yes, sir. I'm not responding to yours and yours and yours because I expect there's gonna be a few more and I'll just address it at the end.
So, can you also do service, talk about service area committees at the end?
Yes,
I didn't bring
yes.
that up. but-
We need to get that on the agenda for next month. We'll just do that and we'll put it on the agenda. I love that idea, service area committees. Ma'am?
No violation, everything is paid on time, I have any trouble issue with my irrigation system, so please, I send you to buy it, so I haven't received any, response, but I need to send you, no question now, we are in condition. I told you that there's some irrigation, but we don't, touch my, house.
Can appreciate that. Thank you.
And what was your name again?
Guillermo.
Sir, what's your first name, sir?
Guillermo Ramirez.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Everybody. I just want to say, just one question, why do we get black mulch instead of the, brown mulch? And I know that they do brown mulch like in front of my house. So I was wondering, I mean, I'm not an expert of mulch, right? But from my understanding, black mulch is required for cold weather, right? And we had Florida 2 months of cold weather, so I don't know. If somebody can answer that.
So your question is, why can you not get black mulch?
Why do we get black mulch?
Why do you get black mulch in the parent villas?
You didn't, you got brown shredded mulch.
Is that
Cocoa
a
brown.
health issue or it was just?
It's cocoa brown, it's not black.
not black?
It looks dark, it looks like shredded beef, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think last week,
Yeah.
and it's totally different, it's brown, and that was the most that they used to put on in our house. So, I mean,
It's a lot darker than a pine bark.
So it's not pine bark.
No, shredded.
It's shredded, that's what it meant, it looks like shredded fajita meat.
Gotcha.
It is cocoa brown.
explanation or. We don't know, that was.
I don't know off the top of my head, I'll be honest with you. I don't know why we put that versus the pine bark. Any from our landscaper?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, right? So, the cocoa brown shredded mulch has compost in it. It's not a cold weather mulch. It's used all over Florida and many of the seeds, all the way down to Bradenton. The biggest factor is, again, it's that compost and manure, and it's much better for the plants. The biggest factor here at the Shop Ranch West is the fact that they're not big pieces of bark that act like canoes when we get the summer rains. It stays in place, it's shredded, it ties together, and won't end up all year long. So there are some areas where there are like heavy runoffs, we may see a little bit of that. If that's the case, we pull it back and spray a tackifier over it. It's fantastic. So it's workable, we don't cost savings, it's the exact same price. The other thing is the removal of the pine bark. It doesn't break down as quickly as the shredded mulch does, and it is insanely expensive to remove it. Once you start getting 3-4 inches, it starts actually to choke out, and so we have to remove it every 3, 4, 5 years, depending on the weather. We have to remove it all before we put down a new layer. So this stuff goes down really thin, it locks in place, it doesn't go, and it doesn't break down. So it breaks down better, it doesn't require removal so often. So it's cost savings, it's better for the plants. The color, the dark color stays better, it doesn't fade out. You guys all know that shredded, that big pine bark, after 2-3 months in the hot sun, it was great, it was awful, this stuff won't do that. So better product, better for the plants, it stays in place, and it didn't cost you less than a penny. Perfect.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Ma'am? And then sir, you.
Last meeting, are there two signatures on the bank accounts now?
We did, we have not changed the checks to put two signatures for the reason of, because the bank does not validate it. So even if we put two signatures on the check, if we send it to the bank, as long as there's an approved signature, they're not checking for double signatures and won't prevent it from getting cashed if we have double signatures. So the board hasn't yet discussed if we want to require those double signatures on the check, knowing that the bank will not validate it.
Well, I think I mean, I've never heard of an organization that's similar to this, or churches or whatever, that don't have, and it prevents. I mean, what are we talking about, trying to get back $75,000, $80,000 that was paid out because somebody did not have a second signature? I mean, that would have at least, I mean, that would have fallen on the board, it would have been a fiduciary problem with the board, as opposed to, and I, as a homeowner, we would have then had some recourse against the board. I mean, there's a responsibility to ensure, and that's one of the things that can be done. There's a requirement for two signatures.
Yeah.
I mentioned in my last, at the last meeting, I was the president of my home station, in South Florida. We would never allow something to go through without two signatures. It's a safety net for the board.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely an opportunity for us to include two signatures. I think right now we've been prioritizing getting the day-to-day operations over to BAS. It has been a very steep learning curve. It's like a full-time job, doing the treasury role. So we did check, and we can do the two signatures on the check. We just haven't implemented it yet. I think the other challenge that we face is we have lots of payments that go out that are not checks. So we have ACHs, we have automatic debits, we have utilities that go out that are checks that we don't want to have to hold for a second check because we don't want the water to get shut off. So there's some nuance to how that operation needs to happen, because this is a volunteer organization. So we're trying to make sure that we have the appropriate, things are getting paid timely. Certainly the concern is valid, right? We don't want checks to go out without some sort of validation.
The monthly operating
Exactly,
expenses, like
exactly.
the water bill, as opposed to a check that has to be issued.
Ma'am, I will say this, the board does have a policy on spending, and that anything over a certain amount, $1,500, is supposed to be brought to the board for approval. So we have a policy in place, and the thing is, it's just the policy wasn't abided by. We have taken measures to remedy that in personnel shifts, and then we're aggressively pursuing getting that money back.
Right, but I think just insulating yourself one step more,
Right.
than having a second signature, which then would require somebody else to at least.
It's, I could see a policy here somewhere, maybe checks in excess of $10,000 require two signatures from the board or something of that nature.
Anything other than a contract.
We can do something of that nature. It's something worth looking into.
Mhm.
We draft a policy letter up and have the board approve it and sign it.
If I could, though, I would say, just something to consider is the fact that one instance where it did occur, there was a policy in place that wasn't followed. So I don't know that requiring a second signature for someone who wasn't going to follow a policy to begin with, and for a bank who's not going to stop the check to go through, that may not be the solution. Doesn't mean it's not something we can't look at as a solution moving forward, but for that one instance that we're focused on, it wouldn't have solved the problem. If we can if we can figure out another way to make, put something in place so that those kind of situations can't happen in the future, even if someone ignores a policy, I think that would be preferred over more policies that just become ignored. But just my 2 cents for now, definitely worth looking at, and seeing there's other options that would provide us better control.
Yeah.
And then my other thing is one of the things I started out at the last week, when I started the last meeting, I was really on here, so this is surprising to me. Was landscaping was a big issue. I don't know the whole historical background, I don't live in here, so I don't understand that. All that's going on, and I don't know the difference between what HOA property is relative to paired villas and CDD property is relative to paired villas. But past lack of landscaping, even walking in front of the paired villas, I don't know where I would come to the sidewalk or where, whose property is who. But if the company that's responsible for pest control, landscaping, isn't doing their job, doesn't really matter how much water you put on something or not put on something.
Yep, we absolutely need to hold them accountable, which is one of the great things about the way our HOA is now set up, is that if we're unhappy with a company like True Green, we can fire them and hire another company. Whereas in the past, if you go with just a company like Bezetta or Associated, you're stuck with whoever they have. So yeah, I fully feel your opinion. If there is ever a concern about what is HOA versus private owner versus CDD property, there is a map on the share drive that all the residents have access to. You can go in there and see whose property is, it's color coded. So you know exactly who to take it up with, either Patty or the CDD, or if it's an individual residence property, then maybe still Patty. Does that address your concerns, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, as I said last month, I was at the CDD meeting that I was at, like our property values, if we do not catch this and make a change relatively quickly, our property values are gonna start going down. And I think it's a joint responsibility. I don't think I should, I don't think I should have to, I don't know if we can hire more people to do, violation notices, like, I don't know what the solution is, but there's gotta be something that get on top of it.
I'm hearing more violations need to go up, is what I'm hearing. I'm getting ahead.
But
Sure.
it is that, there are a lot of homes that are very well maintained, but there are a lot of homes that are a disaster.
Like 3 or 4 inches of mulch, no, you will see that in half the homes, they have been mulched since 1999.
That's what I
So
said.
we'll put away in here.
I didn't get to the guy in the back yet, something to say, sir, you had something?
Okay, getting back to the golf cart, 2 questions. First of all, question regarding, quotes on the artificial turf. Are you looking specifically into non-toxic alternatives?
Yeah.
Specifically related to turf?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think all options are on the table right now.
Yeah.
So here's why I address that, because if you don't specifically get, if you go with turf and you don't specifically get a non-toxic turf, you're gonna make dogs sick.
Yeah.
So that's the primary concern. Secondarily, as a potential option, if that's not budget conducive, what about shells? The reason I mentioned shells is if you walk that dog park, there are already shells around most of the trees and around the building. A good portion of that is already shelled. The 2 biggest parts of the dog park that are literally in the last few years have deteriorated radically is on if you're the north side of the pavilion, on the right and the left. I can tell you that probably 5 times greater than it was 2 springs ago, where there was some grass and other than massive dirt. It would be relatively inexpensive as compared to turf, and it would be a quick fix that looks symmetrical with everything that's already there to bring shells in there, and it would be a lasting solution because the dogs aren't going to play and do that.
In the shells. Cause that's what's there now.
Yeah,
Around all the trees.
let's get a quote for that too.
Not a bad idea. Anyone else in the room?
Yes, Mark. Mark,
Jeff, go
Jeff,
ahead.
good evening. I just want to get some clarification on the sod and soil discussion that's been going on the last couple of meetings. And I think April brought up the issue about getting the soil tested through some college association or something that she's looked into. And the timeline of this is a bit confusing to me. Since the April 11th meeting, was when she brought that up. I think you're pretty much aware of the fact that my sod was replaced on January 9th, which was 2 days before the meeting. So the sod was once again replaced 3 years in a row now without any soil testing. So now the new sod is down, the soil has not been tested. So if this goes through with the soil testing, and you had asked me if it was okay if they could do further soil testing on my property, which I agreed, you're more than welcome to do to get to cure this problem forever. They come and test that soil in my new sod, and the soil is indeed has a fungus or whatever. What happens?
We treat the fungus.
And why was the miscommunication about putting the sod down before the soil was tested?
So
So
we
I
have
think
no-
we're in agreement that the sod probably is the problem, or the soil around, I'm sorry, the soil is probably the problem.
we just heard Planet Earth come out and say that the number one solution to treat the fungus is stop watering it. Or reduce the water because your soil is too wet.
That we know for sure.
If your sod is, if they come out and test the soil, which we don't know when that's going to happen, I think that's the key thing there. And maybe April can speak to that. She spoke in the beginning of the meeting. Maybe she can speak again. But that could be months, depending on when that's going to happen.
Right. So in other words, the bottom line here is that we very well could have another sod issue 8, 9 months from now.
Well, if they test the soil and they find it, say, deficient in magnesium, well, that's a layer that you put in over the top, seeps in, fixes your soil. They test your soil and they find that there's a specific fungus, it's treated with a fungicide, again, goes down into the soil and takes care of it. So the fact that there's grass on top of the soil doesn't mean you can't treat the soil. Whatever it's deficient in, will you just put on top and it sinks down when you water it. So it can be done. The fact that they have to come out, I mean, they're doing the soil sample and all this stuff, from my understanding, as a community service, so it's free. So when anytime you're doing something for free, you're kind of at the whim of the person who's coming out to do it. I don't think it's gonna be 8 or 9 months, but it might be 4 or 6 weeks. But that still gives us plenty of time to fix it, right? Once we get those results back and we know your soil pH is off by this, or, you know, it's deficient in iron, which is another thing that makes your grass green. You can get granular iron and put it on your grass and make it green. So whatever it is that it's going to be deficient, once we know that, we can treat it for that. But in the meantime, instead of having just, you know, dead grass and bunch of sand, you have a lawn, which is a good thing, right? So right now you have a lawn, that lawn isn't going to die in the next 4 to 6 weeks, but once we have an idea of what needs to be treated, we treat it, and hopefully the whole situation should go away.
Aren't these lawns treated by the companies that we hire?
But if we don't know what is wrong with the soil, we don't know what to treat it with, right?
Okay.
If your soil is, so once we get that result back, we can then do an educated process of fixing what is wrong. Until we get that back, we're just throwing, you know, stuff at the wall to see what sticks. That's kind of silly, but it seems like we've done that for 3 years. So
Right.
why
Oh,
don't we
that's
experts?
my question. We've been doing this for 3 years.
I agree with you. 3 years is ridiculous, but once we have the analysis that April was able to find somebody who can do this in a lab and get the detailed analysis, once we have that, then we can move forward with an educated understanding of what needs to be done. Prior to that, we can throw whatever we want on your lawn and it won't matter because we don't know what it is that we're trying to fix. Once we know what the problem is, we can fix the problem. Until that's been determined, we can't. And that's the steps that we're taking. So it's, I know you've been patient and I know that this has been 3 years and it sounds like a very long process and I'm coming in at the tail end of it. And so I understand that, but a little bit more patience to get these results from the soil samples back will then eradicate the problem because again, maybe it's magnesium, maybe it's iron, maybe it's something else. We don't know what your soil needs. So once we find that out from a detailed scientific analysis, then we can fix it.
Let's let April speak about when, April, I missed in the beginning, I think you provided an update on when this university, what their timeline is. Can you provide any clarity on that, please?
So what he's trying to do right now is they don't need to take the soil samples. We can take them ourselves, but for just pH stuff, they process it here locally. For anything more complex, which would be what we needed, they send it out to Gainesville. So what he wanted to do is find out what the cost, if there is a cost, what it might be and what the timeline is for testing first. So if there is going to be a cost, we can have it approved by the HOA and presented to the homeowners prior. So we can do the sampling as soon as I get word back on any cost and timeline, and we have it voted on by the HOA. And then we can send it into Gainesville ourselves. And by then we'll have a better idea of how long it'll take them to test it. And again, you know, as was spoken earlier, the sod that you have now, I get that you're worried about it. I'm worried about it too, which is why I tried to find some alternative for us that could give us a non-commercial answer, right? Somebody who's a scientist who knows Florida and is there set up to specifically help the HOAs that are out there. So they are on board with us. It's just going to be a matter of, like I said, working with them. They're pretty busy. As you can imagine, Florida, we have a growing season 24/7. All parts of the year. There is no non-growing season in Florida. But we have our own representative right now through Michael, and he is working with me just to get the information we need. If there is a cost, I just want to make sure that I don't sign us up to go do soil samples and send stuff off and not update everybody and get it approved appropriately. Apologies. Does that make sense? Do you have any other questions for me?
No, it's just a bit frustrating that I've been told over the course of 3 years that these tests have been done, but they weren't done. And we think we've got a remedy for your problem, but we don't have a remedy for my problem because obviously it still continues to die. So the question is, going forward, since we spent thousands and thousands of dollars to do this, I'm just trying to prevent the expense coming down the road 7-8 months from now because it wasn't done properly. So
no, absolutely.
And that's why we want to get that right. I'm taking your word and insurance that it's going to be taken care of properly, and we'll go with that. Of course, I have no other choice. But
we're going to get a definitive answer this time, as opposed to people who are guessing and coming up with solutions that we pay for their solution, right? If we pay for your solution, then your solution is we're going to kill it with Roundup and throw more sod down. So these folks don't make us pay for their solution, right? They just advise us on what solution would be best and what herbicide we would need, right? Once we are educated on exactly what's going on with the soil, what the issue is, then we can let our contract team know, hey, for these lawns specifically that we've had issues with, this is the right herbicide to put down. This is exactly what we need to do to treat it. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it shows up. Here's what to be prepared for. So I think for me personally, education makes all the difference. And that's what we're trying to do right now is just educate ourselves and get the right data in so that we can make sure next year we're not dealing with this exact same problem. I do appreciate your patience. And I believe what they mentioned was correct, right? Like whatever it is that is causing the issue, once we have a definitive answer, we can treat the soil right through the sod appropriately. So I can't tell you for you if you preferred to wait until sod was put down, but at this point we're past that and we can't change the fact that the sod is there. But what I can do is continue to work this issue to make sure that we pay an outside source who has no commercial or viable interest in the solution to give us a no kidding way forward to make sure that not just for you, but for the rest of the community too, that we have the resources we need to solve problems, not just prolong them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the issue is, you know, obviously the money. We're all paying for this issue, for this problem, and it's been ongoing. So the question is, you know, we hire professionals to do our landscaping, supposedly. They're the ones that are supposed to have the know-how, what to do about certain issues that pop up, knowing Florida landscaping issues that are pretty much consistent throughout Florida. So my question is, the people that we're hiring and that we're paying for on a monthly basis, why aren't they recognizing these issues at the time? And why aren't they making the corrective issues to make it not happen?
We're going to go ahead and put a pin in this one, and we are taking corrective action. It'll be addressed. There's some things I want to address before we conclude, and there's a lot of residents here that are trying to get out of here. So are there any other community comments? I think that's it from the crowd. I do have two things I want to say in conclusion. One is a current event that just happened just now. I just got a report from our security officer. There were about 6 teenage girls in the gym. If they're one of yours and they're coming home from the gym, please maybe handle this. All underage, did not have fobs, not allowed in the gym. The security officer kicks them out. They say, what are you going to do about it? Call him fatty, tell him he needs to work out. They went to the parking lot. Then they tried to re-enter after he left. And then he goes back in, they kick them out again. They said, we're not leaving. He says, okay, I'll just have to call the sheriff's office then. And then they left. These are the things that our security officer deals with. Many thanks to Security Officer Parker for that. I want to circle back to, I hate that phrase and I hate that I used it. The comments from the paired villas, I do want to address this. Don't want you to feel like your comments were not heard. We have been discussing this for a few years now, this project. In the very beginning, I recall we talked about charter changes, and if you wanted to change your charter to correct it so that what the HOA's responsibilities were and what they weren't, we discussed that, and we even offered the services of the HOA attorney to assist with charter changes, and that was never pursued. Hold on, Kyle, I let you talk for 15 minutes uninterrupted.
Tell other people something that's not true.
Kyle, I never saw any charter change come across my desk in the appropriate manner.
You know what? I should just walk out, because this is the problem. You know damn well I walked to 100 homes.
No, Kyle, here's the problem, is you want to do things your way and not in accordance with the Florida law. And that is the problem. If you want to change the charter, you can change the charter. I'm not going to get in a shouting match.
Okay, fine.
Here's what I'm going to say. The controllers, I respect the privacy of everybody's home. Right now, the controllers are inside your garage. They have to be physically touched to correct. This is something that was said in the past as well. I don't want anybody coming in my garage to fix my controller, which is one of the reasons why they're going to be moved to the outside of the house, so they don't have to come in your house. Furthermore, these new controllers can be adjusted by Wi-Fi. No one even has to come on your property to adjust the controls. They can be adjusted remotely. That's just one of the many issues. They're already purchased. 81 residents have had them installed. What else? And that was the other sticking point I wanted to say, is that we want to make it so that residents have admin control over their controller of their house. So that way, if you feel that your grass is not being watered properly, you can help it. Now, if your grass dies, you'll reap the consequences of that, because it will be logged in the system. So that way, one person isn't paying for another person's grass when they decide to unplug it. I respect that as well. Control over your own water usage. If a pipe breaks, we want the resident to be able to shut off their irrigation system so that it's not spraying water in the air. And there were many, many other things that we talked about. We've reached a point with this issue now where we are just not going to see eye to eye. We're not going to see eye to eye on this. The HOA has received cease and desist letters, which at this point we are. And they've demanded responses. And responses are forthcoming in the mail.
So, one question. Where?
Kyle,
Where does it say in the documents you can move them?
Kyle, tell me in the documents where it says that we can install a new playground. Specifically point in the documents where it says I can install a new playground.
Your house, the playground's not at your house.
And the controller, look, I'm not gonna, Kyle,
Hey.
we've done it for 2 years.
Hey, guys, we need to stop, because we're not
Hold
going to
on.
get anywhere with this kind of conversation. For the residents who have concerns, there is a letter coming out. We will have a chance to sit down and work together. Until that time, we had best, I think, go to our corners and wait for those letters and that process to work itself out.
Great
So
advice.
please, it's time to set this to bed, because we're past the point of conversation. These conversations have been had in the past, and it's time per the letters that said cease and desist, for us to work through the appropriate means to come to an agreement, or to follow through with whatever actions the HOA has at its disposal. So we don't need to talk about it anymore. Let's move on to any other final comments. And we will go from there.
All right. Sounds great. That sounds like a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.